Hi, I'm Kyla, professional interior designer and amateur builder. I started doing a rather large renovation of my own home about 4 years ago. We were deep in COVID at the time and prices were all over the place. And by the time we were ready to build, we could no longer afford what I had designed. So we made a deal with our contractor to only build until primer. As an interior designer, I know I should have known how early that happens, but I'd been living in Germany for the past 17 years, so I was a little unfamiliar with the process. Turns out it goes on very early. We could literally see through the floor to the basement. Since then, I have framed, drywalled, spackled, sloped a shower floor, waterproof tiled, laid hardwood flooring, hung doors, done trim, drywall returns, you name it, I've done it. In order to do all this, I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials, consulted with experts, and most of the time just went for it. I've learned a lot through this process, and it's still nowhere near being completed. I've tried different techniques and tools, and on this channel, I'd like to share with you what works, what doesn't, what's worth the money, and when you should just call in the experts. So this is the house. The original house was about 2,500 square feet, and we did a 1,000 square feet addition. We built over the garage with a family that had a family room behind, and then there was a hallway that had a office, laundry room, and a powder room off of that with a door to the back. All of that was built above. When we did the build, we cordoned off the half of the original house that was not being built on top of and lived in it through the build. Part of the reason for that is moving out can get quite expensive, and also I really wanted to be part of this process and see what all the trades were doing. When you go on site as a homeowner, everybody's on their best behavior, so I felt it was a good idea to just be there all the time and see what they're really like. It was a very good learning experience for me as a designer. I was actually quite surprised just what happens when you build a second story addition. I sort of always pictured it being on top of what was already there, but what actually happens is they strip down what is there to the bare bones. All of the windows are removed, all of the drywall is removed. We're down to just studs and the exterior walls, the brick. The original house was built in 1968, and the style of building at that time in this area was cinder blocks and bricks and this diagonal slat flooring. And that's why we could see through the floor. When we removed the original Jenga parquet floor, it was just this slat flooring with lots of holes in it, and we just decided to leave that and build on top of it later. So this is what the original house looked like, and as an interior designer, I prefer to start from the inside and work out. I look at the floor plans, figure out what it is that we want with a space and how we're going to get that to grow, and it determines what the outside begins to look like. This is the original house, and as I said, there was the garage, study, mudroom, hallway, and family room was built above, and so we can see that here. So the wall that we had made is marked here with hoarding, and this is the original house that we lived in. And then you can see from the second floor, it was only just these 4 small bedrooms, and then we had this entire space to work with as being a primary suite and laundry room and a new office. So this is the new floor plan that we have built to. There was a couple of changes that happened during build when we discovered that some of the walls were too thick and some changes needed to happen, but they were minute. So essentially what I really wanted to do was to bring this feeling of circulation through the space. Having lived in Europe, this is a common theme throughout apartments, especially in Berlin, and we really enjoyed it. We found the kids really enjoy it. It makes for great hide and seek and Nerf gun battles. So we wanted to continue that. I've also done it again through joining the original home with the new part of the home by putting another partition there. So what we've done here is opened up the brick wall in two areas. One is the hallway through, and then the second is a study that will come through to an open library area that is open to below. We actually decided since building that perhaps we're not going to do that part. We had named it as phase 2 on this plan, and we're starting to decide that maybe doors are preferable. We're going to hold off on that one for a while, but we do have the plans possibly to do it. We'll see where things go. Additionally, with this, I really liked the idea of cutting the vision from the hallway, the kids' rooms, into the main space so that we have our walk-in closet and our balcony area is now sort of private, even if the door is open. The balcony area, we still haven't fully completed. It's not quite a livable space yet. It's accessible, but not really enjoyable. So that is a project that we have on the books to come. Now, as we go back to the original, we plan to open up the foyer and remove the closet and open up the area to the kitchen, which will make for a nicer kitchen area. That is also part of phase 2. And in phase 1, we have added a pocket door and a bar area that will come off of the family room, allowing us to have a more private area that where you don't have to run to the kitchen for drinks. The office is the original. We had wanted to extend that to be larger windows in one of our original plans for the house, but decided against it just due to cost. So all of that is still with its original windows. We've only changed actually the door. They had stored them in the backyard and then reinstalled them. As for the design of the house itself, I really wanted to keep this is the original home, and you can see where this is the area above the garage, and this is the office window here, was all just one story, and so we built above it. Now, as for the design of the house, what I really wanted to do was to keep the roof line or the gutter line of the second floor. So that determined, in order to do that, it determined what the peak would be. So if you sort of run that line across, it was going to be the same gutter that would continue the whole second floor. So that spoke to how high that peak was going to go. And we discovered in doing that we had space to do a third level. We decided to put the third level on the back half so that we could have large cathedral ceilings in the front of the primary suite. Having lived in Europe, we love tall ceilings, and so we got them taller than any I've ever seen. So as also with our graphic design background, we decided to really attack that on a 2D level, just how big that window was going to be. Broke out the house into thirds and determined the size of the window based on that. And it turned out to be an 8-foot by 8-foot window. So it's quite big, but it really fits proportionally to the large ceilings in the room, which we quite like. It gives lots of light, even to the third floor as well. As for the look of the house, I was inspired by the modern farmhouse trend that has been happening, and I thought it might be fun to do a modern barn instead. So this is our modern barn.